thank you for being here today. As I think we've also proven we are all human here with checking on our children and our surgeries and so on and so forth. And I guess thanks to Mike's wife, she's over driving him today. So we are definitely all proving that we're human beings as we serve on the state school board each month here as we deliberate. At this point, if you will, please make sure that you silence your cell phones or whatever the case may be. Also let you know that this board meeting is live streamed. We are here at the Mississippi Board of Education. It's February 15th. It is 10 o'clock a.m. and we're on the 4th floor in our boardroom at the Central High School building, Mississippi Department of Education. It's located at 359 North West Street, Jackson, Mississippi. We also have, as we call our meeting to order today, we have 3 members that are here with us virtually, so I'd like for them to introduce themselves and state their location. Let's start off with Dr. McGehee.
Dr. McGehee, San Diego, California.
Mary Warner. Mary Warner.
Mary Warner, South Carolina, Mississippi.
And Matt Miller. Very well, thank you. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Bill Jacobs and our invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you will, please join with me. As we deliberate here today, let us make sure that we keep the children of our great state in mind, their teachers, their leaders. Help us to make sure that all of our decisions are based on what is good for those teams, those school districts, those students across our state. Amen. You have before you the approval or the minutes from last meeting. I'll have a motion to approve those minutes unless there are changes.
moved.
Mike Pruitt, motion.
Second.
Bill Jacobs, second. Beat you to it, Mary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You also have the agenda before you. Search for a motion to approve the agenda of today's meeting. Ms. Barrett, Wendy Barrett, motion. Bill Jacobs, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. You also have before you consent agenda. Are there any changes that need to be made to that consent agenda for the individuals that are here? We get our board packets early before this meeting, 3-4 days ago, so we have the chance to go through these items. So in the benefit of time for all of us, we have a consent agenda, which we will take care of in one motion. But we do allow board members to pull or add to, or excuse me, pull from if there are any that need to be done. Do we have anything that needs to be adjusted on consent agenda? Matt?
I'd like to move item A to the regular agenda.
Item A, K, item K? A, I'm sorry, item A, you're correct. Any other adjustments? So at this time, I'll take a motion to approve the amended agenda for today's meeting. Oh, thank you very much, Attorney. At this point, I'll take a motion to pull item A from the consent agenda. Bill Jacobs motions,
K or A?
excuse me, A from the consent agenda.
No, it's K. Matt, it's K that you want to pull, not A. Is that correct?
That's correct.
K, right?
K.
That's what I thought. It's item K. Sorry for that confusion. So Bill Jacobs on the motion, second.
Second.
Mike Pruitt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. All right, ayes have it. Now we need to approve the amended agenda for today's meeting. I haven't take a motion for the amended agenda.
Moved.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mary Warner motion, Mike Pruitt second. All in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Now comes one of the fun parts of our meetings, and we'll have Gene Cook come up to acknowledge and present some awards to school districts and some of our outstanding students.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. East, Dr. Mergino, and state board members. It is my honor to present to you the recognitions for this month of February, and we have a number, as you can see. So first, we are honoring Newside High School in the Prentiss County School District for being named a National Elementary and Secondary Act National Distinguished School for 2023. And representing the school today is Principal Kenny Sparks. So Mr. Sparks, would you please join Mr. East and Dr. Mergino at the front of the boardroom? Each year, the MDE Office of Federal Programs nominates 2 schools that meet or exceed the Distinguished School Award criteria. Newside High School was chosen as an ESEA National Distinguished School for demonstrating exceptional student performance for 2 consecutive years. Newside High School has been A-rated for the past 2 years, improving its B rating from before the pandemic. In 2022 school year, the school's English 2 students ranked number 2 in the state for proficiency. The school raised its graduation rate from 77% to 92%. Students increased their college and career readiness rate from 36% to 83%, the 3rd highest in the state. And U.S. History and Algebra 1 students earned 90% or higher proficiency rate for the past 2 years. Newside High School credits its success to a team effort that includes parents with high expectations for learning and success, students who want to learn and apply their knowledge, faculty with high expectations and a student-friendly focus, administrators with high expectations and the ability to be learners and instructional leaders, and congratulations to Newside High School. So, Mr. Sparks, you're welcome to make remarks at this time.
Thank you again.
A few words if you'd like to. Put you on the spot.
Well, my superintendent, I'd like to stand, Mr. Nicky Marshall is here, has done a great job, but I'm just here proxying for our school because those faculty that have been in the classrooms, our parents, our students, they're the ones who deserve this. It's not me. I'm just here accepting this award, and I want to thank our state superintendent, board, for allowing us to be here, and I also want to thank our local board.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we will recognize 4 students who earned the prestigious Legion of Valor Bronze Cross for Achievement. This award is presented to cadets who have shown outstanding excellence in military and academic subjects while enrolled in the JROTC program. To be considered for this award, cadets must be in the top 10% of their JROTC class and have demonstrated outstanding leadership and involvement in both their school and community. In 2023, only 26 Army JROTC cadets from the 314,000 worldwide were chosen for the Legion of Valor to be recipients. Today, we will recognize 4 of those cadets who all live in Mississippi. First, we will recognize Cadet Lincoln Jones, a senior at Florence High School and the Battalion Executive Officer of Florence's Army JROTC program. Cadet Jones, thank you. Please join Mr. East and Dr. Mergino at the front of the boardroom. In JROTC, Cadet Jones is the captain of the drill team and active in the physical training, orienteering, and raider teams. He is a 3-time member and recently served as captain of the JROTC Leadership and Academic Bowl team. He has also attended JROTC Leaders State STEM Camp at Mississippi State University. Cadet Jones has received awards for academic excellence, proficiency, commendation, and good conduct, to name a few. At school, he is a member of the Beta Club, Mu Alpha Theta, the Random Acts of Kindness Club, and is active in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Cadet Jones is a member of the track team, the state champion cross-country team, and the math and science team. School awards include being named Florence High School Student of the Month twice, the Rankin County School District Student of the Month, and Character Trait Student of the Month. This past summer, he also attended Boys State. He is ranked 3rd in his class of 157 seniors with a cumulative GPA of 4.0 and an ACT score of 32. Outside of school, he has earned the rank of Eagle Scout and is focused on giving back to the community, having contributed over 300 community service hours. After graduation, Cadet Jones plans to attend the United States Military Academy at West Point and major in computer engineering. Cadet Jones, you're welcome to make remarks at this time.
I would just like to thank Sergeant Major Donahoe, my parents, and everybody else that supported me throughout my JRTC journey. I wouldn't be here without them, so I just thank everybody that was here. Also thank everybody here, standing here, congratulating me. It's an honor. Thank you.
Next, we will recognize Cadet Caitlin Halsey, a senior at Northwest Rankin High School and the battalion commander of Northwest Rankin's JRTC program. Okay. In JRTC, Cadet Halsey is active in the physical training, orienteering, and Raider teams. She is a 3-time member and served as captain of the JRTC Leadership and Academic Bowl team that advanced this past summer to the championships in Washington, D.C. She has also attended the National Flight Academy at Pensacola Naval Air Station and the JRTC Cadet Leadership Challenge. Cadet Halsey has received the Association of the U.S. Army Leadership Award, the National Sojourners JRTC Leadership Award, and the Superior Cadet Award. At school, she is a member of numerous organizations that include the National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, the Spanish Club, Health Occupation Students of America, or HOSA, Distributive Education Clubs of America, or DECA, the National English Honor Society, and the National Spanish Honor Society. Cadet Halsey is a member of the school's powerlifting team and track team, where she received numerous accolades, including setting the state pole vault record of 13 feet as the 2022 state champion. She is ranked 28th in her class of 430 seniors with a GPA of 4.0 and an ACT score of 30. Outside of school, she is focused on giving back to the community, having contributed over 150 hours of community service. After graduation, Cadet Halsey plans to attend University of Mississippi. Sorry. Majoring in biochemical engineering, while also competing on the Rebels track and field team. Cadet Halsey, you are welcome to make remarks at this time.
It's such an honor to receive this award, and I've worked very hard to earn it, but there's a lot of people out there who have worked even harder to shape me as the person I am today. So just a really big thank you to the faculty and administrators at Northwest Rankin who have not only helped me get to where I want to be, but also other students as well. And especially to my JRTC instructors over the years, including Colonel Reiser, Chief Crawford, and Major Hearns, who have helped shape not only the Northwest Rankin JRTC program, but the Rankin County and the state of Mississippi as well. And then thank you to all of you here today for recognizing me and sharing this with me.
Good job.
Next, we will recognize Cadet Ethan Young, a senior at Brandon High School and the Battalion Executive Officer of Brandon's Army JRTC program. In JRTC, Cadet Young is a member of Raiders, the Sabre Guard, and the JRTC Leadership and Academic Bowl teams, and attended the JRTC Cadet Leadership Challenge at Camp Shelby. Through JRTC, Cadet Young has received the Order of Dedallian's Medal, the Military Order of World War's Award of Merit, and the Association of the United States Army Leadership Medal. At school, he is a member of the National Honor Society and competes in the varsity swim team. School awards include the ACT High Honors Recognition and membership in the Brandon Over Everything Club. Cadet Young is ranked 116th in his class of 386 seniors with a GPA of 4.0 and an ACT score of 30. Outside of school, he has earned the rank of Eagle Scout and gives back to the community, having contributed over 280 community service hours. After graduation, Cadet Young plans to attend Mississippi State University and pursue a degree in mechanical engineering with a minor in aerospace engineering. Cadet Young, you are welcome to make remarks at this time.
Good morning, everybody. I would like to begin by saying thank you for allowing me to be recognized here today for receiving the Legion of Valor Bronze Cross for Achievement. Towards the end of the 2022-2023 school year, one of my JROTC instructors, Colonel Michael, came up to me and approached me and asked me to create an application for this award that I knew nothing about. Being the 16-year-old teenage boy I was at the time, I reluctantly said, sure. Little did I know what I had gotten myself into. Once I had begun putting together my application, it dawned upon me the seriousness of this award and the type of person you needed to be in order to receive it. I'm honored that Colonel Michael believed that I embodied qualities such as leadership, discipline, and an exceptional character. I'm committed to upholding these traits in the future, and I will continue to strive for excellence in everything I do. Once again, I am deeply honored to be a recipient of the Legion of Valor Bronze Cross for Achievement, and I want to thank my JROTC instructors, my family, my friends, and anyone who supported me along the way. Thank you.
Okay. Finally, we will recognize Cadet Muhammad Akwiri, a senior at Hattiesburg High School and the Battalion Executive Officer for the Tiger Battalion JROTC program. Okay. In JROTC, Cadet Akwiri is the Raider team captain, and he is one of the drill team leaders. In school, Cadet Akwiri has the highest academic grade in his JROTC class with its 3.7 GPA, and he is ranked in the top 5% of his class, and he has scored 25 on the ACT. As an active member of the robotics class, he ranks #1 out of 70 students. He is a member of the Technology Student Association, the Mayor's Youth Council, the National Beta Club, the Society of High School Scholars. He is also a member of the powerlifting team. Cadet Akwiri assists on community service planning projects and helps plan JROTC events. After graduation, he plans to attend Pennsylvania State University and major in computer engineering. Cadet Akwiri, you are welcome to make remarks at this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is a momentous occasion, not just for me, but for everyone gathered here. As I stand before you, I am deeply humbled and honored to be recognized for receiving the prestigious Legion of Valor Award and a scholarship that will pave my way for my continued pursuit of excellence. This recognition is not merely about an individual accomplishment, but a celebration of the collective effort, support, and encouragement that paved my way for my continued success. I would like to thank, I am profoundly grateful to all my teachers, family, and friends who have shaped my journey, whether through being a mentorship, whether encouraging me, or simply through being a source of inspiration. In particular, I'd like to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to my mother and uncle. They have been my unwavering pillars of strength, always believing in, supporting, and encouraging me to reach for the stars. I owe to them more than words can express. Thank you, Mom and Uncle, for your endless love and support. This recognition is as much yours as it is mine, a testament to your profound impact on my life. And to everyone gathered here today, thank you for this honor. May we strive for excellence, inspire one another, and make a meaningful impact in this world. Thank you.
If I can, just for a moment, Ellis Reiser, before you leave, is the director of Rankin County's JROTC program and has been for years. And of course, we have excellent ROTC programs across the state. But Ellis, as you prepare to retire, I personally just want to say thank you for the impact you've had, seeing right here the cadets that have gone in and just the quality of programs that you have helped oversee through the years. So thank you for your service to our kids across the state. We appreciate it.
Let me also echo Ray's comments. Very, very proud to see 2 Eagle Scouts in this group as well. Outstanding program, and Penn State, good place to go. And this Ole Miss, Mississippi State thing, y'all figure that out when you get up there, okay? So we'll make all of that work. Thank you very much. We'll give y'all a second, so thank you for being here. Pennsylvania State University. At this time, we'll hear from our state superintendent on his monthly report.
Okay, we've had a pretty busy month, a lot of meetings. We have we had our student advisory meeting just last week. We toured Nissan and had a good time. I know Kate and I were in a group actually together, and we're able to see just some of the tests they do for painting, actually. And it was really informative, but also real informative to see what's required to go to work there and the different career opportunities that are available there. So that was a lot of fun. We had our accountability task force had their first meeting of the year, and Dr. McGee, he was able to attend as well, and Dr. Evans, we had him come down as well. So that was a good meeting. I met with the literacy coaches also last week. That was they're doing some phenomenal work. It's really impressive, just their excitement and their enthusiasm and their commitment to excellence across the state. So that's been really good. Senator Hobson and I did a little joint conference or joint session at Mass just to give updates on MD, and he gave some updates from the legislature. So we shared in that a few weeks ago at Mass. Was able to bring greetings yesterday morning at the School Board Association's meeting. So a lot of those things going on. We've had our Student Advisory Council. I mentioned them. We had our Teacher Advisory Council. We were able to meet on the coast with that group, and then the group in Clinton as well. The one in Oxford, we had to cancel that when we had all the ice up there, so they were still digging out of that. But had some good meetings. You know, one of their concerns, they shared some things that are going really well, but one of their concerns was student attendance was one of their concerns. That was a common issue. We also had our principal advisory meeting, and that was really good. It's always good to hear from them and hear the things going on in their buildings. Also, it gave Dr. Van Cleve shared a little with them on some of the orientation for school leadership work that's going on, and we've basically taken that and bounced those ideas off these principals, and so that's been really good. We also had our superintendent advisory meeting, and of course that's always a lot of fun to hear all the great things. We did have them this time share some best practices that they're doing, so they're kind of sharing amongst one another, but also, we discussed everything from accountability to MAEP. We had Holly come in and give a legislative update. Just a good time to just kind of update and share best practices. We also presented to the Senate Education Committee, myself and Dr. Vanderford and Dr. Gavin were over there to meet one day to just give an overview of the Department of Education, and so that was really good. We met with the Senate Budget Committee yesterday. We'll meet with the House Budget Committee this afternoon, and so just continuing along with the, as we go through the legislative session. But all in all, everything's going really well. Our folks across the state are continuing, just to work really hard, and it's always fun to get out to some of these things and talk to the practitioners out there and just to hear the great things that are happening in our district. So, subject to your questions, that's my report.
Anybody got any questions, comments? I will say you did a good job yesterday at MSBA with the School Boards Association. A lot of great data and a lot of great plans for the future. So thank you for that. I also was able to attend that, make a couple of presentations as a school superintendent, but also listen to the input of school boards across our state, two outstanding keynote addresses. It builds you up to know that you've got men and women who are striving very hard to run their school districts as school board leaders and work through their communities. Also was able to participate in the teacher recruitment and retention conference that was at William Carey in Hattiesburg. The powerful piece of that is we turned and asked teachers how to hire them, how to keep them, and make sure they retire with us. So that was a very good one-day conference with a great deal of information I think will come out in the near future from that conference. So those are my two big adventures since we last met. Any other comments or questions for the two of us?
I've got a comment. Ray, you obviously put a good bit of effort, you and your team, in your Friday afternoon, or your Friday updates, and I appreciate that. Those are well done, and I appreciate it.
I really have to give most of the credit to Jean. She helps.
I said team, I wasn't going to say it.
She definitely helps me a great deal on that, but thank you.
And as good leaders do, they know who does the work and give them the credit for it there. So, okay, another fun part of our board meeting. We've got our student representatives making their presentation today, and we'll start off with Kate.
Good morning, everybody. I'm excited to be here in person instead of on Zoom because of our huge snow break. And since coming back from that, I feel like Lafayette County and Oxford both hit the ground running. We had our Student Advisory Council meeting last week, a couple weeks ago, at Nissan, which was really fun. My favorite part was I got to put on a virtual reality headset and see the inside of a car with virtual reality and got to fake manufacture it. I'm not really sure. I got to just do the wrench. It was really cool.
Don't buy that one.
My least favorite part, Dr. Morgino referenced it. We got to do a paint test to see there was certain deodorants you can't wear while you're doing paint on a car, and my deodorant failed the test and left marks on the door, so that was a lot of fun. But mainly since our week out of school, we've been playing catch up at school and with all other activities, especially in my AP class because of our tight regimen with nationwide testing occurring this May. And over the past 3 years, I have been part of the 17% of Mississippi students enrolled in advanced placement classes. I've taken 7 AP classes ranging over 5 subjects: math, English, science, social studies, and computer science. And I have earned 4 college credits so far, and the final 3 will be determined this May when I actually take the exam. So as teachers, educators, parents, students, I'm sure everyone is somewhat familiar with AP courses. As described by College Board, AP is an undergraduate, university-level curriculum and examination offered to high school students. So basically college-level instruction offered to 15 and 16-year-olds, which when it's phrased this way, it sounds really impressive. And whenever I talk about AP classes, the first word that comes to mind and the adjective I use most to describe them is rigor, because that's truly what it feels like when you're in an AP class. The material goes really far in depth about the subject, and the test prep and the test itself is lengthy and complicated. And I remember my AP bio exam started at 12, and I didn't leave the school till 4:30. So it's long and it's hard. And the curriculum is put in tight because we have those nationwide tests in May, and we don't always get it in, so we seemingly have homework just about every day. And the teachers, all of my AP teachers are so passionate and so dedicated to the subject that they are teaching, and it's so great to have a teacher who is dedicated to what they're teaching about. And they want to ensure that students not only learn the curriculum, but understand it and leave their class as higher educated individuals. Students and teachers can come in on Saturdays to practice for the exam, and I already talked about this. AP requires students not just to memorize the material, but to understand the concepts and apply them, which is hard if you're not used to doing that in the regular classes, which for me, I wasn't. So when I was in my first AP class and learning to apply the concepts, it was hard. And basically, to sum all that up, AP classes are hard, and students in those classes deserve the recognition and appreciation for their willingness to work hard and go above and beyond, because AP classes aren't required. It's an option. You choose to take those hard classes. With that being said, the additional GPA weight that comes with those AP classes needs to be administered because they're hard, and if you have the opportunity to take a hard class, you should be rewarded for that. And if you aren't rewarded that GPA boost, there's nothing saying that you shouldn't just take the easier class, because you can take AP English Language or you could take English 3 and you might get a 90 in AP Lang, but you might get 105 in English 3, and that's not rewarding that student that decided to take the harder class. And that is very unmotivating to me and the other students who are in AP classes. And not to mention, in the AP versus dual credit debate, AP classes are cheaper than dual credit classes, at least at my school. And dual credit classes start your college GPA, which an AP doesn't. So you might have a bad exam on the AP and you may not get that 3, 4, or 5 that you were looking for, but it's not the end of the world. You just don't put that on your college application. Whereas if you do a dual credit class and you don't do as well, you're going into college and you're already not doing well. And same with that, AP is, I've said this multiple times, AP is hard, and it's not easy, and students deserve that recognition, and taking away that GPA weight would just reduce the effort that students put into it. So I believe that's really important.
Very good. Any questions for Kate?
Kate, does your district not give a bump, most districts give a bump for the AP.
Yes, there
class.
is. But my mom was talking to me about this the other day. My mom's with me here today, guys. And she was saying that there was a debate about lowering the weight that
Okay.
AP classes have, and that kind of got me fired up. So. I wanted to say something about it.
You know, Kate, we have, as we looked at that, the scoring rate of students scoring a 3 or better on the AP is like 34%, and then it's like 94% of scoring a C or better in the dual credit. So your point is definitely a valid one.
Yeah,
Good future in both worlds, but AP will test you. That's what it's
Yes,
about.
and it kind of, the way I've learned from it, it kind of gets you ready for how you're going to learn in college, because the way that I learn in my regular classes is a lot of memorization, whereas actually applying the topics was really new to me. And so having that base is probably going to help a lot when I get to college.
I would also challenge that AP is requiring you to read much more than many of our classes
I've
do.
done so much reading outside of class. It's a lot.
And at the end of the day, every parent needs to know, read,
Yes.
and the rest will come. So, good job.
that's right.
Charlie, how many more of these we have, my friend?
Well, we're getting low.
Yeah,
No,
I'm kind of,
y'all won't have to deal with me too much longer. We're getting there.
Oh, we're going to deal with you, for sure. Thank you. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, first and foremost, can't agree enough with Kate. We've had discussions in Oxford, and now these are not official discussions, but heard rumblings of making dual credit the same weight as AP. And that's wrong. I can't stress enough. AP is harder than dual credit, and just like you said, it really is, and therefore it should be rewarded. So, Kate, I can't agree enough. Today, I have a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and I imagine it will resonate with all of you given the nature of our seats here. So, over the past few months, I've had the privilege of managing a local campaign. In addition to being excellent experience at a young age, this position gave me some insight into Mississippi civics education. A few weeks ago, we reached the point in the campaign when we ought to knock on doors and hand out push cards to voters. Naturally, I texted all of my closest friends, nearly all seniors at Oxford High School, and asked if they would like a well-paying, fun job. And surprisingly, many accepted. So the job of a door knocker or a canvasser is something that I've discussed extensively in other venues before, and I truly believe that all students should canvass at some point. I believe this for two simple reasons. First, if raised correctly, one's mother will instruct one in proper conversation. Now, in these instructions, a mother will list the 3 topics that are to be avoided at all times in polite society. And I'm sure you can name them, right? Money, religion, and politics. The job of a canvasser, though, is to knock on a stranger's door, reach out their hand for greeting, and immediately break this crucial first rule of conversation. There is no better soft skills training. Now, after hundreds of conversations and hundreds of doors knocked, my friends had a fair understanding of local politics and how to converse about such things in a polite manner. Now, the second reason goes with that. The second reason is that our society depends on open civil discourse to function. Door knocking is a microcosm of this bigger idea at play. Now, in the legislature or here at MDE, our government officials have free and open debate. They discuss the merits of the ideas, and eventually we come to a solution. In Oxford a few weeks ago, my friends had free and open debate, discussing the merits of candidates and leaving the voters to make their own choice. Now, this concept of free and open debate is enshrined in our Bill of Rights, and the protection of free speech is something Mississippi high school students must understand is crucial to our survival as a republic. Now, hopefully my job offers helped a small group of high school students understand the importance and greatness of the society and system in which we get to live. Now, additionally, the new experience for my high school students on the campaign trail helped them realize 2 ideals that they learned last year in their U.S. government course. First, they realized what self-governance means in practice. Now, if we asked Mississippi high school students to name a politician or name a person in government with significant influence over their life, you can guess whom they might name, right? The president. And this is natural considering our current media climate. My friends, though, they understood through their work that the people making the important decisions in their life that will affect them, like how late our park and rec facilities are open, which potholes are patched, how much money will their parents pay in property tax. These decisions are made by normal, everyday citizens. These decision makers might have taught them in middle school or ran their Sunday school class. They likely know their representative on city council personally. And they never realized that self-government, in reality, looks like this. Second, my friends realized what the American ideal of limited government means. They revisited a word that was used often in their high school civics course, jurisdiction. They learned that these elected officials are not all powerful, and they wrestled with why we believe in a limited government. I discussed the idea of federalism both in a federal-state sense and in a state-municipality sense, and I actually used MDE and local districts as an example. My friends, without knowing the, quote, textbook terms, could easily describe self-reliance and a social contract in a way that would make our founders proud. These interactions through the campaign trail will mold my friends' ideas of government for a lifetime. Finally, I want to touch on Mississippi civics education in the classroom. Anecdotally, Mississippi civics education is excellent. I've taken 2 government courses in high school. The first I took at the U.S. Senate Page School. You can imagine how special and advanced a government class inside the government was. Immediately upon my return to Oxford, I took AP Government, and the quality of instruction was largely the same. The discussions we had were the same as well. My teachers were both knowledgeable and fair, and Mississippi held its own when compared. Dr. Morgino told me a story months ago that is apt for this topic. He was discussing the Mississippi National Guard, and he told me that when he served, one of his commanding officers was the Chief Justice of the Mississippi Supreme Court. Using this connection, then Principal Morgino had the chief come speak to his students about government. Similarly, Chief Barnes of the Mississippi Court of Appeals recently came to Oxford to speak with our civics students. The textbook discussions found in our civics classes are crucial to our students and to our republic. These discussions, though, must be coupled with real-life examples of government, much like my friends experienced on the campaign trail. When I talk about the importance of civic education, I'm reminded of the Ben Franklin quote that I'm sure you all know. Following the Constitutional Convention in 1787, Ben Franklin exited the meeting place. On his way out, a lady asked, "What kind of government do we have?" And he responded, "A republic, if you can keep it." So, how do we keep it? This is what that looks like. We gather our young Mississippians in high school classrooms, and we teach them the importance of defending our Constitution. We stress the necessity of civil liberties, of small government, of federalism, of self-reliance, of self-governance. We let them ask questions of elected leaders, and they will realize that government is not out of their reach. You all must know the President Reagan quote too, quote, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States where men were free," end quote. So with this, I compliment our civics education, and I hope my stories and my perspective will reinvigorate all of you to pass freedom to our students, both in the classroom and through informal discussions, so that we never face the idea of losing it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions or comments for Charlie?
Got one.
Yes, sir.
I see there he moved to the other side of the room and still going to jab you.
Someone moved me over here. They wouldn't let me sit next to Charlie. Did your candidate win?
He did not, unfortunately. But that's politics. We keep moving.
Important part of the story.
That's right. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yeah, sorry.
Great job for both of you. Thank you very much. We've got 2 subcommittees that have put in time meeting this month. So let's begin with educator equality. Matt Miller.
Thank you. We met on the afternoon of the 13th. We got a preview on the education workforce shortage that we will get more of here in a minute. We also discussed a couple of the items on the consent agenda, including item A that we have pulled for further discussion in this meeting. We had some very good information. The folks in that department worked very hard, and you will hear later from the additional information about items A about how all of this process works. So it's a very good meeting this week.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from Matt and his team? Mary Werner's team met this morning before our board meeting. Mary?
Yes, we did. We actually had a very good discussion also. We talked about the Perkins 5 plan. And actually, rather than having to listen to me on this, they, Mr. Robertson, Dr. Robertson is going to be presenting. They have two major points. One of the points was that I read my notes there. I'm having a little trouble reading. It was the embedded workforce learning for the education preparation program. That was one of the things that we discussed. And the second thing that will be discussed would be the changes to the state performance level. So as I said, Dr. Robinson will be talking about that, presenting it to you. But again, and I stress again, I say it every time that we've had a meeting, I am so impressed with the people who are on the workforce career tech program. The people who do it, they do the work, they do it well, and we should be very proud of them.
Thank you. Any questions for Mary? Thank you, Mary. Any questions for her? All right, let's move on with our action items for today. Item number 1 is to revise the Mississippi Perkins 5 state plan that Ms. Warner just spoke of. And we've got Wendy and Brett here to move us through that presentation.
Thank you, Mr. East, Dr. Morgino. Good morning, board. Ms. Warner, your check is in the mail, so thank you for those kind words. Yeah, so just kind of a real quick before we get going, a synopsis of kind of where we've been and where we are right now. We've had some conversations in the past that it was time for a revision, and so Mississippi had about 3 or 4 different options, or each state actually had a few different options for that. And in, I think it was September, we received word of the governor's wish that we do a combined Perkins and WIOA plan. And it was about a week later that we found out from the U.S. Department of Education that plan would be due in March. And there was just no way that we could get that done between September and March. And so what we'll talk about today is our decision to do a 1-year plan, very minor revisions, very minor changes. And as soon as this plan is submitted, then we will move forward with working with the Department of Employment Securities and WIOA to submit a combined plan March of 2025. So just kind of where we were and where we're going. So obviously I always start with our vision and mission in the Office of Career and Technical Education. You know, we live right here in the vision in terms of college and workforce readiness, making sure that our kids are prepared to move on as citizens. Whenever we talk, we operate mainly goals 2 and 4. Students graduate from high school and are ready for college and careers, and then every student has effective teachers and leaders, and so that's kind of really the precipice of all the work that we do. Okay, so where we've started this year, we began in late October, early November. We held a series of 4 local needs assessment meetings across the state. We divided the state. We used the workforce sectors, workforce regions with that, and so met with CT directors, we had principals, we had superintendents, we had industry represented, we had post-secondary CT deans there, and so we had really collective group of folks and sat down and just kind of talked about where we are right now with workforce development, where we want to see that move here over the next year to 4 years. In January, our office took all of that information, kind of put it all together in one form, and so we have shared that. And 1st of February, we shared that with districts across the state. Districts will use that information to not only drive their programmatic requests for new programs and conversions that is occurring right now, but they will also use that when they fill out their local plan applications as they apply for their federal Perkins money later this spring. And then in May, we'll have the plan. So this was just kind of the 4 sectors that we used. We met at Itawamba Community College in the Mississippi Partnership. We met at Jones Community College in the Twin District region. We met in Goodman at Holmes in the Delta region. And then we met in Pearl, the Hines Community College campus in Pearl for the South Central Mississippi Works. All right, so as Ms. Warner said, really really only one change to our plan. Embedded work-based learning is already a program quality indicator. That was added in our last revision 4 years ago. We started that with ag programs, and we have since added health science to that. What we are going to be doing, so embedded work-based learning is not new, but what we will be doing is pulling in our educator prep programs, our teacher academy programs, into that embedded work-based learning as their program quality indicator. They are already doing this across the state. The kind of the common means of that curriculum is 1 to 2 days a week. Those students go into their local elementary schools and serve as teacher assistants for an hour or two, once or twice a week. And so that just completely lends itself to that embedded work-based learning where we are immersing that student in the work, working with teachers, working with kids, working with principals. In some cases, I've heard about kids getting to sit in on parent-teacher conferences. And so really getting an idea and a clear look of what that entails. The real changes that we'll talk about that we're making are going to be in our state determined performance levels. The last set of those, the last year that we have data, that we have performance targets for is this school year. And so the biggest change in this plan is setting new performance levels for next year. So you'll see here, we'll briefly go through what each one of those indicators are, but just kind of understand how we get to the baseline. The directions, the instructions that we received from the U.S. Department of Education was we took the last 2 years of data and you get an average of your last 2 years' performance. That creates the baseline. Your target has to be at least 1/10 of a point higher than what your baseline is. Internal discussions, and because we are only doing a 1-year plan, as we are preparing to build a bigger plan combined with WIOA, we made the decision to just go with that minimum requirement of 1/10 of a point as our targets, 1/10 of a point higher than our baseline. So those indicators are 4-year cohort graduation rate. That is the percentage of, or that's the graduation rate of our CTE concentrators in each graduating cohort. As you can see, across the state and across the nation, students who become CTE concentrators, they enroll in a terminal CTE course. They have an extremely high level of graduation rates. We do not track the extended graduation rate in Mississippi. The next three kind of are lumped together. This is our students who are CTE concentrators, how they performed in terms of their proficiency on English 2, Algebra 1, and Biology 1. And so you just take your CTE students that are concentrators and then in the current year, and then you look back, how did they do on these tests? Next is post-secondary placement. With this one, what we're talking about is 1 quarter after graduating high school, whoever your CTE concentrators were, 1 quarter after graduating high school, we track where they are. U.S. Department of Education gives us various various indicators for this, and things like, are they continuing education? Are they continuing education in a program related to their career field? Are they employed? Are they employed in a career related to their studies? Are they in the military? Do we not know where they are? Are they deceased? And so we ask districts to track these things, and then they report these back to us. The non-traditional program enrollment, that is essentially the percentage of CTE concentrators that we have enrolled in non-traditional programs. A great example would be like a female in a STEM class or a male in an educator prep class, something like that. And then the last two are our main program quality indicators in terms of the national certification, which is obviously kind of governed by the SWIB board, and we're a part of that process and approving and choosing those. But those percentage of CT concentrators that have earned a national certification, and then the last is the embedded work-based learning that we talked about, where we're ag and health sciences, and we'll be adding educator prep. But with that one, that is students who have earned at least 35 hours of a level 4 embedded work-based learning experience. So essentially, they are doing the work, not just being, you're not just going and sitting and watching, this is actively doing the work. And so the way this works here is that as a state, we report our performance on each one of these performance levels, meeting or striving to meet each of these goals, and then each of our districts is responsible for the same. And so that's kind of how we look at
to individual district performance, and then combine that for state performance. And so just a brief timeline. So right now, presenting this to you right now, the next step will be that this will go for public comment for 30 days. As part of Department of Education rules and regulations, we will have to provide a response to any questions, to any public comments that we get, and that will be part of the plan. Doing a one-year revision is not required to go to the governor's office, but we just kind of believe that that's usually part of the process, and so we wanted to continue to do that. The governor does not have to approve. He does not have to sign. He doesn't have to do anything with it if he chooses not to. The law just requires that he have 30 days to review the plan. And so once those things are done in May, if needed, if substantial changes have been made from what the plan is right now, based on public comment, based on any feedback from the governor, we would bring that back to you and say, this is where we are. But otherwise, this will be submitted to the Department of Education in May. We will immediately turn around. Again, I talked about how the governor has expressed his wishes for a combined plan. Right now, currently, there are 7 states in the country that have a combined plan, but through my conversations with Advanced CTE and other states, we are one of a number of states that is going through this process as well. So I think you're fixing to see this being a very common approach for CTE funding, for submitting those plans, is doing a combined Perkins and WIO plan. And essentially, what we're doing is we're getting all the horses pulled in the same direction in terms of workforce development. So we will immediately turn around in June and begin working. And I was telling the subcommittee, the more I think about it, we may start this work before we even submit this plan, and beginning to plan and prepare and working with MDES on that. But we'll get to work on that with a anticipated review date with you in December. And then that will be due to the Department of Labor and the Department of Education in March of 2025. And that will be a 4-year plan. Questions?
Questions coming, Mike?
I've got a couple. Looking at the chart on 7 and 8, is there a corresponding regional comparison for where you took the 2-year average so that we've got the baseline level? What do we look like in, say, the Southeast region?
So I'll have to go back and look at that. We report that annually, and typically we have met, over the last few years, we have met as a state, we have met those performance levels each year, and what they actually like to do is get within 90% of meeting that goal. I will tell you that based on last year's reporting of data, we are not going to meet for the English and the math. I think that is very common with what you see across the state, with nationally how students are performing, where we're trying to catch back up to where we were pre-COVID. And you couple in with that the issues that districts, again, across Mississippi and across the country are having with attendance. Not that we anticipated that, but that kind of makes sense. And so we're working through right now a plan of improvement that we will submit to Department of Education, but have every intention of being sure that we meet those goals as we move forward. So I can get you that. I don't have that knowledge off the top of my head kind of regionally, but that's where we are as a state right now.
Thank you for not saying if I had attended the subcommittee meeting, I could have asked that.
I was going to say that, but
I got it. So the next question then is with a 0.1% increase projected for next year, is there a budget that tracks that also?
Yeah, so we're looking at a means of creating a little more of a defined method of determining those as we move forward. We just didn't feel it was appropriate to do with just this 1-year revision, but kind of the formula that we've been kicking around a little bit and actually are going to steal from another state is looking at where our baseline is, going halfway to 100%, and then dividing that over 11 years to set a determined each year. Every district, everyone knows that's exactly what it's going to be. And why it's going to be that? Because 11 years is basically the life of a kid in school, K through 12 school, kindergarten through 12th grade.
But I will tell you that even when we adjust those levels, that is not in correspondence with the level of money we receive from the federal government.
Right.
So the level of money is determined annually. Right now, Mississippi receives about 16 million and some change. But all of that is determined based on the full pot of money as well as numbers of students that is determined by census data. That's that's a formula that they use to determine how much money we receive. Our targets from year to year do not affect that dollar amount. That's separately decided.
Okay. That it's separately decided, I understand. Does it still look like a gap to me? Yes, that's a problem, but okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone else? So we have before us from the Office of Chief Academic Officer, item 1, to revise Mississippi Perkins plans, go out for the APA process for 30 days. May I have a motion?
Moved.
Mr. Pruitt.
Second.
Ms. Werner, motion. Mr. Pruitt, second. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Informational item, we have educator workforce development update from Dr. Vanderford and Dr. Van Cleve.
Good morning. As Mr. Miller alluded, Dr. Van Cleve will provide an educator workforce development update, which will include the results of the 23-24 educator shortage survey and the strategies that we will utilize to address the feedback that we received.
All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to share today's educator workforce update. We will jump right on into the items alignment with our strategic plan goals as we do continue to see that ensuring a strong educator workforce is indeed critical to achieving goal 4. Every school has effective teachers and leaders, even as we continue to recognize the connections with the student outcomes listed in our goals as well. So with today's item, we do believe it reflects part of our broader efforts to ensure we have a comprehensive picture of Mississippi's educator career continuum to ensure that we are indeed aligning strategies that do strengthen our educator workforce as a whole. So with that being said, we'll jump right into the results of our 2023-2024 educator shortage survey. Here again, we did have 100% of Mississippi public school districts to participate in this year's survey for the 3rd year running towards that element of a comprehensive picture, which you can now see outlined. Yet again, we break these elements down into the various classifications of our educator workforce as reported by superintendents and/or their designees. So this element has been consistent year over year. What you can now see, though, is the change over time listed at the bottom of each of those columns. And so you can see now the difference between our initial survey administration in the 21-22 school year and then the difference even as of our survey administration last year. At a very high level, what you're going to see is that licensed teacher vacancies and administrator vacancies are on the rise since last year's survey administration. However, they have decreased as a whole since our initial survey administration in 21-22. The area that somewhat defies that trend, though, is our K-12 support staff vacancies. Those have continued to decline over time. And so with that, we'll give a bit more detail on each of those areas, starting with elementary teacher vacancies. So to orient you all to this table, what you'll see in the first column are the results from our 2021-2022 survey, then followed by the 22-23 results. This year's results are then captured in the 23-24 vacancies column. And then the fourth column, what you're now going to see is, again, that 3-year change. So that 3-year change column compares this year's results to the 2021-22 results. The final column compares the change from this year's survey administration to last year. So we're starting to see some of those trends and changes over time. As an example, with elementary vacancies, those continue to be some of our highest areas of need as a state. With upper elementary 4-6, what you'll see is what we do want to see is that those vacancies are continuing to decline over time and in a reduction of the shortages there. With that being said, a different example is pre-K, wherein we have seen an uptick in the number of vacancies of 14 within the last 3 years. However, since this time last year, those vacancy rates have leveled out, so we haven't seen an increase within the last year in pre-kindergarten. So again, when you're seeing kind of the blue numbers with a negative, that means the shortages are decreasing. When you're seeing those purple numbers with the plus sign, it means that there has been an increase in that particular area. So shifting gears then into middle school vacancies, math remains our greatest area of need at 149 vacancies. Middle school English, however, has been one of those areas where we've continued to see decreases in the number of vacancies over time. With high school, the key pattern is around STEM vacancies, that those have continued to be some of our bigger areas of need and are increasing across both the 3-year change and since last year as well. That pattern is going to continue across these areas, the only exception there being algebra, where we have continued to see a rate of decrease over those 3-year periods. So with that being said, into K-12 teacher vacancies, special education remains another one of our big areas of need as a whole. This is also one of those areas where we're still on the decline since when we started the survey administration. However, there has been a recent uptick since last year's survey results. So there is indeed some variability there. Shifting then from subject area and grade level specific vacancies to then give a regional picture, this will show our current congressional districts and the total number of vacancies therein, along with their respective rate of either decrease or increase since the 2022-2023 school year. So you can see those congressional districts with that, again, that negative sort of blue sign, they've seen a decrease in the number of vacancies overall, whereas if you've got that purplish color with the plus sign, it means that those vacancies are on the rise in those particular areas. Then shifting gears into licensed educator vacancies, we were encouraged to see that counselor vacancies have indeed continued to decline, even as we are seeing an uptick in the number of speech language pathologist vacancies as of this year. Administrator vacancies do remain some of our smaller areas of need, however, did witness some increases from the previous school year. And then finally, on the other hand, one of the areas we were pretty concerned with, given the numbers, was around support staff vacancies last year. However, these areas have actually seen some of the steepest rate of decrease in terms of the number of vacancies, with food service staff vacancies are down by over 100 in the last 3 years, and bus driver vacancies are also down by over 100 in just the last year alone. So we have seen some reductions there that have been pretty large in terms of scale. With that being said, we'll go into some of the strategies that we are putting in place given current trends. Won't stay here for a long time because we'll go into the strategies a bit more in detail, but just wanted to reiterate their alignment with some of the challenges that we're seeing. So we have, at one level, we've got broader supply and demand challenges across a number of different roles. Then we drill down deeper into specific areas for teacher recruitment. As we noted, some of our largest areas of need still within elementary and special education recruitment. The tricky thing here, though, is you always want to balance efforts to increase teacher recruitment with efforts to increase teacher retention as well, trying to hold both of those at the same time. So with that being said, a few of the strategies that we've got in place that'll carry us through this year and into next is we're very excited that we hosted our first in-person educator workforce advisory just last week. We invited 10 districts. We had 8 Mississippi universities present as well, in addition to MDE staff, through our partnership with the National Cedar Center to just engage in an honest conversation about potential policies and initiatives, statewide programs, in ongoing efforts to increase both the quantity and quality of our educator workforce. It was an all-day meeting. It was quite possibly the fastest all-day meeting I have ever attended, with some really great conversations. So we're very excited to reconvene that group, report back on the progress that we've made, tackle future challenges given some of the ideas that they elevated. So even as we look to the future, one of the things that we also hold ourselves to is constantly revisiting past policies to ensure they are indeed meeting their desired outcomes. And so with that being said, given some of those areas around elementary teacher recruitment, we previously recommended approval for alternate route and supplemental endorsements for elementary education K-6, and we're excited to share that since then we have over 10 approved pathways to expand the reach of some of those opportunities into elementary education K-6, and we do have more on the near horizon. That being said, in terms of addressing special education teacher recruitment, as Dr. Morgino has noted, it is indeed one of our legislative asks for the year to continue funding for the Mississippi Teacher Residency, which is currently working through these listed districts and universities beyond ESSER funding as well. So continuing to work on that front, even, again, as we're balancing with teacher retention. And another exciting update there is that just as of Monday, our professional growth system portal launched in MECA, our licensure system, in an effort to support teacher retention through effective observation and coaching strategies. So at zero cost to the district, this portal provides MDE-approved observation tools, a data dashboard for trend analysis, streamlined professional growth system data submission, and then aligned professional development opportunities and recommendations based on some of the trends that school and district level administrators are seeing in their observation and coaching efforts. And so we do hope that that will inform some of our districts in joining us for the professional development plan workshop for district teams that we will be hosting. It is a 2-day in-person workshop where we'll be working with districts on some of the strategies and skills in developing professional learning plans district-wide intended to boost both teacher capacity and student outcomes. And so with that, happy to take any questions or
Any
comments.
questions from anyone? Good work. I will probably say you're going to hear one of the craziest things that I've learned in the last week. We were able to visit the St. Charles School District, the Gulf Coast Education Consortium, and they were same conversation about teacher recruitment and retention. And that was the last program of the day. And one of the things that the St. Charles Public School District has done based on teacher surveys about retention is to provide pet insurance. And we all kind of laughed. And then they talked about the number of teachers who needed that focus to help them get through their time together. And it makes sense. You've got folks that are getting married much later in time. But then here's the funnier part of the story, and it's not funny, Bill, it's serious. We asked the same question at the teacher recruitment at William Carey, and you would be surprised the number of hands that went up at that conference as well. So this is a big picture, a big difficult thing to do, but there may be some simple solutions for the onesies and twosies across our state. So I know that's the craziest thing you'll hear me say in a while, Charlie, but it floored me, man. Look, you sit there and they say it, and they give the number of teachers that bought into it. So anyway, just an interesting thing that local school districts may be able to do. Sorry to deviate from the script up here, ladies. Thank you for that information. Any other questions? Any other crazy comments?
Professional development? Yes, we will be offering CEU and/or semi-credits as well.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. So here's a fun one. Under the Dr. Gavin's department here, we have a approval of an MDE contract.
Yes, good morning.
Item 3A.
Yes, we have one item to bring before the board under contracts, and it is renewal of a contract with Mr. Mike Kent to continue the work that he's doing with the District of Transformation and our Achievement School District.
Any questions for Dr. Gavin concerning Mike Kent continuing on in his role? Hard-working fellow is all I know.
Everything's in place, background check and stuff.
We think he checks out.
I'm going to say, this is Mary Warner, with great pleasure and great pride, I would say, I go for approval.
So we'll make you the motion then, Ms. Warner, and Mr. McGee. All right, Dr. McGee, the second. All right, any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Dr. Kent, you're still stuck with us, my friend. All right. Information from the Accountability Task Force, Dr. Vanford and Alan Burrows.
So as you know, as part of our continuous review and improvement of our statewide accountability system, we annually convene the Accountability Task Force. We met for the first time on January the 25th for this year. Our membership of the task force includes superintendents, principals. We have local assessment accountability directors, special education director, CTE director, and instructional specialists that make up the membership. The prior meeting, we had about 5 main topics of discussion, and we'll come back and give you some more details on each one of these, but one being the feedback regarding the revisions to our current accountability system that we're getting from the workforce community primarily. We discussed the findings of our OIG accountability and school improvement systems. We had an audit of that. We discussed some of those outcomes. We discussed the submission of our consolidated state plan, our ESSA plan, to ED for approval. We talked about, Charlie and Kate, we talked about the acceleration weighting for AP in the acceleration component in accordance with Senate Bill 2487, and we'll come back to that and provide some more details. And then there was a great deal of conversation around having to reset the standards or the cuts of the accountability system in accordance with state law now that we have more than 65% of our schools and districts that are rated an A or a B. The conversation around resetting those cuts, again, was very lengthy. We talked about the process, the methodology that we could use to reset the standards when we do that, and the timeline for resetting those standards. That's of particular interest to the school districts. I mean, they want to know what's the timeline for moving forward with this. There's a lot of factors that we discussed and we have to consider in resetting these standards. I mean, no one anticipated the impact that the pandemic would have on the accountability system. And then we also talked about the impact that any revisions to the accountability system would have if they were substantial changes to the business rules, how that might impact the cuts. So we landed on the fact that the earliest that those cuts would be reset and go into play and be effective for school districts would be with the upcoming school year for the 24-25 school year. And there was also, Alan can talk more in depth about this momentarily, but there's also some conversation if we could even meet that timeline, if we go through the process and make some revisions to the model that are substantial changes, and the fact that Ed is requiring all of the changes that we make being approved by them first, which could also delay the timeline for that. So just as an example, we submitted our ESSA plan for approval to Ed in May of 23, and we have just now received final approval of those revisions. So that's a lengthy process that could impact our timeline. And before I turn it over to Alan, last week we did notify superintendents of 2 changes to the business rules that will be effective immediately in accordance with the approval of our ESSA plan as well as the findings of the OIG audit. And one is the fact that the indicators that we have, particularly around growth and acceleration, the federal law prohibits a school from earning bonus points in any indicator. So the maximum number of points that a school or district could earn in those categories would be what is assigned to that. So if, for example, acceleration is 50 points for a school without an EL component, so the maximum that school could earn for acceleration is 50. 47 and a half, I think, if they have the EL component. The growth component for a school without The EL component's 100 points, so that will max at 100 points there. And then the second item that we notified districts of that would be an immediate change to the business rules is in accordance with Senate Bill 2487, which does mandate that the AP courses count the same or weighted the same as the dual credit courses in the acceleration component. So we know why that was doubled, and Kate and Charlie both have alluded to that because of the rigor of the AP exams, but the state law dictates that they must be equally weighted. Our next meeting is going to be February the 23rd. We'll have some conversations around reconceptualizing the college and career readiness component in the accountability system, and talk about some different approaches and the ways that that may be done. We'll talk about accountability weighting and look at how different elements in the model are weighted, and then we'll have some continuous discussions around resetting those cuts. At this time, I want Alan to be able to follow up on anything that I may have left out, or we can answer any questions that you may have.
Yeah, I don't have a presentation today, and Dr. Vanderford did a great job of covering everything. I guess the main thing to communicate is that we have a lot of moving parts right now in accountability. We've had a rather stable system for many years, which we have had some impact due to the pandemic. And we expect this year to be relatively stable on numbers relative to the impact of the pandemic. The only thing that's lingering this year that we know will be in there is 1 year of waivers on graduation requirements on end-of-course assessments. But we should see a kind of a return to normal with growth measures that we have not seen the past couple of years because of the pandemic. So that, along with other considered possible changes and resetting cuts, kind of are a lot of, as I mentioned, moving parts that we'd like to see coalesce into one change to the accountability system rather than seeing multiple changes that interrupt longitudinal comparability for many years. So we're going to try to work on the timeline as best we can to have these things arrange and coalesce together so that we can have one revamp if necessary, hopefully with minimal impact, and to have some comparability across years, at least in some of the components such as proficiency and growth. So if anybody has any questions?
Questions, comments? I will say thank you for this work. This is probably some of the hardest work that you guys do every year with a lot of eyes watching it. Alan, thank you also for reminding us all of that growth piece that after COVID, we began to discuss, 2 years ago, how that would be different as we move forward. So I think you'll see some normalization of that, as you said, moving forward in school districts. Any other comments? All right, thank you very much for that information. So we are now to what I'm going to call, I think, item 5, and it's going to be K from the consent agreement. So consent will go to item 6, if I've done that correctly in my math or writing here. So Dr. Vanderford, approval, this was, item K is I Teach Mississippi as an improved educator preparation provider to offer a non-traditional pathway to teacher licensure, and will begin the Administrative Procedures Act. I believe Matt and his committee had great discussion, and we need to follow up with what we need to do there as a board. So thank you for this information.
Okay. Yes, we did have a good discussion around this item at the subcommittee meeting last Tuesday. And as Mr. Miller pointed out during the meeting, this item has been some discussion in our state for several months now. And so we felt like it was very important to pull the item off the agenda and to allow Dr. Murphy, who serves not only as the director of the Office of Teaching and Leading, but he also serves as the executive secretary of the Licensure Commission, in short. That's not how it's named in state statute, but we refer to it as Licensure Commission, just to give the board a refresh of like the timelines and the conversations that have been had around this item. So at this time, I'll let Dr. Murphy.
Thank you, Dr. Vanderford. Good morning, Chairman East, members of the board, and Dr. Morgino. The item before you is it comes with a twofold ask or for approval. The first being approval of the I Teach organization as an educator preparation provider to administer non-traditional or alternative pathways to licensure. And the second being an ask for approval to begin the Administrative Procedure Act process to amend the licensure guidelines to include criteria that candidates choosing this program would have to meet in order to gain licensure through this non-traditional pathway. And just for historical context, the agency was contacted in January of 2020 by the I Teach representatives inquiring about what it would take to actually become a provider of alternative certification in the state of Mississippi. On January 31st, we actually convened as the Office of Teaching and Leading for the most part and met with them to hear more about what they had to offer, but also share with them what the process would entail. In June of 2022, they actually submitted their initial proposal to the Office of Educator Preparation, which they work closely with. In July of 2020, well, actually June of 2023, they submitted the final proposal, and in July of 2023, that proposal was submitted to the Licensure Commission that voted unanimously to move the recommendation forward to the State Board of Education. And you may recall in July, later that month in 2023, at your regular meeting, you voted to remand that item back to the Licensure Commission for further discussion based on opposition that was given by the Deans Association in the state. And so on November 29th of 2023, the Licensure Commission convened an ad hoc committee. And out of that ad hoc committee, basically 4 recommendations for additions to the original proposal came out of that. The members of that ad hoc committee consisted of the Dean of Education from Mississippi State University, Dr. Teresa J. Rowe, the Dean of Education from William Carey University, Dr. Teresa Poole, the Superintendent of Education for the Lincoln County School District, Mr. David Martin, who serves as the chair of the License Commission, Sunflower County Consolidated School District Human Resources Administrator, Mr. William Murphy, and a layperson on the commission and retired administrator, Mr. James or Jamie Creel, served as members of the ad hoc committee. And so their recommendation for strengthening the original proposal consisted of, again, 4 areas to be added. And so the first is that the I Teach Mississippi provider shall meet the State Board of Education's standards that are outlined within the Educator Preparation Process and Performance Review Guidelines. The second is that the I Teach organization would have to receive annual approval in order to operate in the state. And that's based on their meeting the State Board of Education, all the applicable standards that are outlined in the Educator Preparation Process, Performance and Review Guidelines. The third is that the candidates who choose this pathway to licensure would have to be assigned a Mississippi-based field supervisor that holds a State Board of Education in Mississippi issued license and other criteria that's outlined there. And the fourth is that those candidates have to be assigned an effective mentor teacher during their matriculation. And so all other program requirements are equivalent to those that are offered through any other pathway that are currently offered in the state. And so after that meeting, on January 5th of this year at its regular meeting, the item was presented for approval. And so we have 14 members currently, and so out of the 14, 11 voted for moving the item forward to the State Board of Education, with 3 voting in opposition of moving it forward. 2 out of the 3, again, are representatives of the MACT or Deans Association for the most part, basically expressing their opposition in actually moving it forward. And so this concludes my comments. Don't know if you have anything to add.
I don't have anything else to add.
Any questions or comments from board members? Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, if y'all recall, this came to us, as Dr. Murphy said, back in July, we remanded it back, primarily based upon the objections and concerns that MACT parade. This was further vetted, that ad hoc committee was formed, with representatives, Dr. Murphy indicated, from that team were a part of the smaller ad hoc committee. They made these revisions, still with the same foundational recommendation of recommending IT. When they made these revisions, they voted for, again, the license commission has agreed that IT is they recommended them as a provider for this. So, part of the reason why I wanted to make this a regular board item rather than a consent item is to just explain once again, as y'all heard me say in the past, this is a process with anything that we want to change. And it shows that in the event that somebody raises a concern, that we will look at these concerns. We will address the concern. You will allow it to be heard. And most importantly, is that there will be more feedback. We will take a second look at it. Ultimately, I think we need to approve this. As I mentioned in our committee meeting, I'm looking at this not from the standpoint of IT, not from the standpoint of the educational institutions. I'm looking at this from the principle of the little small school district who really needs a math teacher. And you have a person in this community who could be a great math teacher, but is not, has a degree, but it's a non-traditional pathway. And to get that individual to become a teacher and to be his 8th grade math teacher, because that person is more likely to stay in a community where they're from. So I think bottom line is I think IT checked all the boxes. They have been vetted, and my suggestion and recommendation is that we approve this.
Any other comments or questions? All right, the way I appreciate this, we're going to vote for I teach with the understanding we're going through an APA process on these new requirements that have been set up through our ad hoc committee. Everybody understands where we're trying to head? I'll accept a motion. Mr. Miller on the motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Warner on the second. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
We are now to the consent part of our agenda. So we have items A through Q minus K. May I accept a motion, please, to approve our consent agenda minus K that we moved?
So moved.
Pruitt on the motion, Mr. Jacobs on the second. Any comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Executive session. There is no need for executive session today, so watch all the smiles in the room brighten up. Any comments for any other discussion from board members? Any other business? Very well. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, thank you very much. That's twice today. Let's see, somewhere on this thing is, I got it. I want to remind you that the March board meeting will be on March the 7th in Jackson, Mississippi at Central High School building here on the 4th floor, starting at 10 o'clock a.m. Now I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Bill with a motion. Second. Mary Warner. That was the longest time on that one. They were trying to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very well. Thank you very much to our staff for a great meeting today. Appreciate you. And board members, thank you.